I'd like to talk to you about tuning my wooden arrows. Okay, a lot of people say, oh, you really can't tune them, but you can. I had Port Oxford cedar shafts, okay? These are 30 to 35 spine. They're 30 inches. They're 5/16, okay? And I have the regular, I believe they are beater knocks on there. Biter knocks, okay? The ones we use these, I use these for years, all right? And I used the Custom King had sent me some glue for the knocks to try them out, and they work great. Well, what I did was, I wanted to be able to tune my wooden arrows. So I tried those top hats. I bought the whole kit with the screw-in and everything, and I had ash arrows. And it was impossible to, I was like burning the shaft to try and get them shaped with that shaping tool with ash. And then I went to try and tap them in with the tap. And the tap only has two little buttons, like two little catches to put a little groove on the arrows. And they didn't work, all right? I hated them. So I wound up, on the arrows that I have that I use for hunting, I wound up putting a taper on them. And I used JB Weld clear epoxy, okay? And I just twisted them and put them on, okay? So what I did was, this time, I had these shafts, okay? Port Oxford. Once again, they were 30 inches, 30 to 35 shafts. And I was going to use them for my board bow, which is 38 pounds. So I bought these. I went looking for glue-in tapered knocks, and I only found these on eBay. Okay, they're from China, but I got what I can get. So these shafts have a taper. I mixed some of that clear epoxy, right? The two-part epoxy, the JB Weld. And before I mixed it, I had the spinner, the arrow spinner, and a block. And I put the tips in these glue-in shafts. I put the epoxy on the shaft, put this shaft in and spun it, you know, by myself. Just twisted it till it was like snug, made sure it was snug. And then I put it on the roller. And you'd be surprised, I turned it on the roller, and if you had a big circle, you're able to, before the glue dries, you're able to move this point in a direction and then spin it until you get it straight. So that was the key to setting these up, was I had a spinner with a block and a dot, and as I spun them, I wanted to make sure that they didn't spin really oblong. And if they did, I could correct it, because there was just a little bit of give. I could give a little give and turn it, and they spun pretty straight. So I only did the one, and what I did was I put a 125 grain point on, and I shot it out of my board bow, my 38 pound board bow. I'll show you the bow, hold on. This is my 38 pound ugly bow, the board bow, the maple board bow that you can watch my video how I made it. And they were flying weak. They were flying weak. I tried different tips. I tried different tip weights. I used lighter tip weights. I had 75 grains in, and they were still a little weak. So what I did was, I cut these shafts down, the shaft down, another at least inch, maybe 2 inches. You know, let me get the tape measure and I'll tell you exactly what it is since we're doing this. You know, there's a taper in here. There's a taper in here. So let's say the taper is here. Okay, just taking a guess. All right, let's say they're 28 inches. I cut 2 inches off. And when you take an arrow shaft, whether it's wood or carbon or aluminum, and you cut it shorter, you make it stiffer. Okay, so actually what I did was, not to mess with the tip end, I heated this, or heated and twisted off. And once you heat these, they're garbage. You throw them out, okay? And then I cut 2 inches, retapered it, cut 2 inches, retapered it, and put a new knock on, okay? And they were flying good. I actually had to put a 125 grain tip on to get them to fly good out of my 38-pound board bow. But I was able to tune them, and I was really happy with the fact that I could tune these arrows by changing point weight, and I shorted them. So let me just take a shot with this board bow quick, and then we're gonna talk about my Osage 3D bow that I made. Okay, this is my 38-pound maple board bow that you could go on Bare Bow Joe and see how I made it. And it's backed with rawhide backing, okay? You see how I make this. If you wanna make one yourself, you can, if you're a little mechanically inclined. But I gotta warn you, it's kind of addicting. So anyway, with these glue-in points, like I said, once you put the point in and you have the epoxy, you put the epoxy on and you spin it on a spinner, if it's oblong, you can tweak it, bend it a little bit, and tweak it again until it's spinning. You know, you may not get it perfect, but you get it really close to perfect spinning. And then you just leave it and let it dry, let it cure, man. I just left them overnight, and they were pretty good. So what I found out was, I had just changed the tips when I went to get the bow. I had 125, so I was trying something. But this here is 100 grain tips. Let's see how they fly out of this bow. And we're close. Usually we go back 12 yards. We're in the house here, 5 yards. But let's just see. Okay, from where I'm standing, on the angle, it's flying fairly straight, a hair weak. Okay, but the point is, that's what I used. And I used this at a 3D tournament with those arrows with 100 grade points. And I practiced out to 25, so they were hitting pretty good. And I got a 189 or something with it. But it was awesome because I made this bow, I made the wood arrows, I tuned them, okay? So now let me show you the Osage bow I got. Okay, just to show you the difference now in the speed between that board bow and this Osage bow. This Osage bow is my 3D bow. You could see it how I made this one too. This one had knots and weird twists, and I had to steam it. A lot of work went into straightening this out. I put recurve tips in. Okay, but just to show you the difference in the speed of this thing, I put a lighter tip to stiffen it up, this arrow here, watch. A lighter tip on this. Look how weak it is. I got a 75 grain point. Let me just walk you down quick to see the difference. Okay. See how the tail is going to the left with a bare shaft? Okay. So, just so you know, this 30-35 arrow with a light that I shortened to 28 inches, and then I put only a 75 grain tip in, is too weak. This is the bow I really want to shoot. This is going to be my 3D bow. You see I named it Twisted Delusion, because the idea of getting a twisted log and trying to make a perfect, absolutely perfect bow out of it is kind of a delusion. Okay, so that's the name, Twisted Delusion. So I can't use these. I really have to get, instead of 30, 35, I have to get 35, 40 pound, you know, Port Oxford cedar shafts. But I wanted to explain to you how you could use these screw-in tips, these screw-in inserts. These are for tapered shafts, and how you could get them aligned by putting the epoxy on and spinning it, and put it on a spinner before it sets. And if it's a little off, you can manipulate it and get it to pretty straight, and then just leave it. Okay, leave it. And so now we're going to go and try my lightweight carbon 700 spine carbons, just to see if I get them to fly out, because I have no intentions of buying new arrows right away for this. You know, money's tight like everybody else. Okay, so we're going to get those 700 spine, and we're going to see how they fly. I just wanted to give you a heads up. I think it's a cool idea that I came up here with, you know, these two tuning arrows, you know. And the only thing that I haven't tried that I think you might want to try is, on all my inserts, of every arrow I ever did for anybody, even when the kids with the Olympic bows, and I put inserts in, I use C-I-R-C-U-T, Cut hot melt glue. And I wonder, maybe just for one bass shaft, see if it holds up. Just use the hot glue, put it in, twist it, spin it, manipulate it a little bit, you know. You can always heat it up and twist it a little bit and then let it cool, all right? Maybe use that, all right, to see if you have to cut it shorter or whatever, you can take it off. But if that works, right, this tuning of these arrows, you would just take it off, heat it up, maybe clean it out, and permanently glue them. But it's great for tuning. I shot really good. I shot good with that board bow. But this Osage recurve, I actually lowered the weight. On my video, it says 37 pounds or 36 pounds. The other night, I says, you know what? I'm not happy with that. I want to be able to shoot 1,000,000 arrows out of this bow. So I lowered it, and it's 32 pounds at my draw length now. I lowered it. So at 32 pounds, they're flying weak out of this, okay? My board bow is 38. Okay, big difference. So now we're going to go to the carbons. Then we're going to go outside and shoot. Okay, these are ultralight Entradas, 700 spine. They're 29.5 inches. 29.5 inches at my 26-inch draw length. They seem to fly good with a 75 grain point out of that Osage bow. They seem to fly good. So let's take another shot here and see how they fly. Okay, let's see. And with the way I have this cut and the way the string is aligned, okay, it seems like it's almost center shot. Like I can just shoot without really bending at the waist, which is what I like. I could just shoot it with this, throw your hand up, that natural cant. Okay? That shows a tiny bit stiff. So I'm going to put a 100 grain point on and we're going to try that again. Okay, we now have the 100 grain tip in, and we're going to take a shot and see how it flies. And I have 125 in my pocket just in case it's still a little stiff, okay? So let's just check it out. And once again, I'm not really bending at the waist. I'm just going to cant it. Okay, let's go take a look. Okay, if you look from where I was standing, let me lower this a little bit. Okay. If you look from where I was standing, it's fairly straight with the 100 grain point. So let's go outside and shoot this bow that yesterday I lowered the pounds, and we're going to shoot it. This is going to be my 3D bow. I love to see how it shoots. So you're going to get to see how it shoots with me. With these arrows, these 100 grain tips on these Entrada 700 splines, that's 29.5 inches. And let's go see how we do. Okay, you have no idea the pleasure I have shooting a bow I made myself. Okay, things that aren't on the video is I heated up these limbs. I heated up the limbs and bent them a little bit with just the weight of a clamp. Just the weight of a clamp to get the string in line. And once I got the string in line, I put a little groove. There's just like a little groove with the chainsaw file, just a slight groove just for the string to lay in. Top and bottom, okay? See, top and bottom, all right? So here we are. That deer with the bag is 20 yards now, okay? So I'm gonna try like point on and see. 20 yards might be my point on. shot high, so I got to shoot a little lower. Let's try. I'm telling you, it's fast. It's a fast bow, so I'm liking it. But let's shoot the bottom of the 10 ring, all right, instead of point on a little lower. Oh, I hit the same spot. Let me go a little lower. The lower third of the deer, let's try. Look at that. The lower third of the deer is right on. So at 20, see, this is how, what I do is when I come out and shoot a bow for the first time, I go into notes on the phone and I'll mark what it is. So I know at 20, I got to put the lower third of the deer, okay, and it goes right there. And then 25 yards, we're going to try, I have one arrow left here. I'm going to try putting the point on the back. That deer over there on the right is 25 yards. Okay. Oh, even that shot a little high. Okay. That's it for today. I'm happy that it's shooting high. So I know now, you see it shot right on the top. It kind of shot just about where I was putting it, you know. So I'm very happy with the way this shoots. I wanted to go over the wood arrow tuning, how it worked, and that these 100 grain points that we tuned in the house are flying really good out here. But you see the difference, that I have to give a little bend to make the impact correct, all right? So we've got well-tuned arrows, right to left is good. And just so you know, another thing, regardless of what kind of arrows or bow you have, if you start out close at, let's say, 10 yards, and your form is good and you're doing everything correct, as you start walking back, if the arrows track to the right as you go back, the arrows are weak. If you hit normally right on and you close and you start coming back and it tracks to the left as you get further away, the arrow's stiff. So here we are. We shot at 10, 15, even 25. You can see where the arrow is on top of that deer. Left to right is good, and that means it's tuned. And I'm going to gap shoot with this, so I just have to learn. It's the first day out here. This is like the maiden voyage of this bow here. First day out here shooting this with, you're shooting it with me. And you gotta admit, it's pretty good for the first time I'm actually shooting in the backyard. All right, so watch my other videos. I just thought it was cool how I tuned those wood arrows. And like I said, for this bow's faster than my board bow. I'd really need to get, instead of the 30, 35s, I need to get the 35, 40s for it to work out of this bow. All right, let me just show you quick one more time. Kind of proud of it, sorry, but I'm kind of proud of what I did here. Okay. And again, on my video, you see what it says here? Twisted Delusion, and that came up with that name because when you're making these bows, it's addicting, and you're under the illusion that you could take this twisted log and make a perfect bow out of it. And nothing in life is really that perfect, okay? But you can do it. You make the bow and you're having fun. Okay, so I posted that little reference sheet before this video right now that I'm making. And the reason is, a lot of people work. You go outside and you finally figure out where you're hitting, and then you don't get to shoot for a few days, and you come out and you like forgot what you were doing when you gap shooting. So if you make that reference sheet while you're out shooting, take the time at different yardages and write down what it is. You know, like it could be at 10 yards, that bear soda can below the belly of a deer target, you figure out where it is on the bear. Or the other thing you could do is maybe figure like, okay, if you put a 2-liter bottle, the cap on the X, you have to shoot the bottom of a 2-liter bottle. It's good to associate a visualization what you got and write it down so you figure it out. So when there's a few days and you want to grab your bow, you can use it as a reference. So let's see how I do. Okay. And as far as form goes, elbow all the way back. Keep your hand against your face, whether you use back tension or it's like I do, static. Don't drop your arm, okay? This here is going to be like a soda can below the belly of a deer. So I kind of have to figure out where the belly of the deer is and where a soda can would be on that bear. Okay, went a little lower. Now that deer target down there, that's 10 for the bear. This deer target's 15. I got to put it like a tuna can below. So, and then when you targets to the right or left, make sure you move your stance so you're comfortable. Okay. Okay. And then that 20 yards is kind of point on. And I have to get used to this bending at the waist because I got a little disc damage and nerve damage going on. So, but I like it. And you can see I'm doing really well for the first day out here with this bow. I love this bow. All right, 20 should be point on. Okay, went a little higher. Just a little higher, but that might have been me. But look at the right to lefts, okay? Right to lefts are awesome. Let's go over here to this mountain lion. The mountain lion is about 25 yards. Okay, and what we're going to do with this mountain lion is put it on the top of a back. If it was a deer target, the top of a back. So let's see. Okay, see how I keep my hand against my face and my arm up after the shot? Okay, it just went a little high. So a little fine tuning, but I didn't miss any targets, all right? Worst case, I got all 8s, okay? So first day with this bow, I'm happy. A little more practice. I just wanted to add the part about that cheat sheet because, you know, a reference sheet, whatever you want to call it. Because, you know, I want everybody to do good. I want everybody that I show how to shoot to do better than me. So, once again, like I said it before, I just added this on. Watch my other videos. You never know what I'm going to post. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.